No, go ahead.
Greetings, class. Today we're going to discuss the topic of ethics in online advertising. Um, the team that I have with me that's going to discuss it is myself, Bowie, Kelly Chang, and Ryan Duncil. So in today's society, online marketing is now dominant method for pursuing customers and interest in buyers' loyalty. Technical use is rising. Online data is more valuable than ever. Information gathering is becoming increasingly important for companies. Um, and the question that we want to ask is, are companies crossing the line with how they are reaching out to their customers? In the past, uh, creative marketing methodologies were used, ads in newspapers and TV ads, also radio ads. So in the present, we have new ways of using marketing by using online advertising. Has definitely brought new methods that can more methods than could be imagined. Consumer data is not only available, but is often bought and traded and shared. So for our study, we are going to look at these main points. Once a company has collected the data from an individual consumer online, how is the data handled? Do consumers really know what they are agreeing to, and do they know what information is being taken? Are companies acting on justifiable motives or simply just in for profit generation? All in all, are the methodologies of online advertising today truly ethical? So what? With today's society, time spent online at a peak and online shopping is more popular than ever it has been. Being able to browse and actually purchase items without leaving the comfort of one's home is extremely convenient. By collecting data and analyzing for, for advertising purpose, this may enhance the user's experience. But at what point do these methodologies become too intrusive and unethical? How do we actually determine where that line stands?
So, in trying to answer this question, there are obviously two sides to look at. To begin with the ethical viewpoint, many of these people understand that in today's world, given the number of users on the World Wide Web and the amount of time each user spends online, mounds and mounds of data can be collected. It is almost inevitable that some of it is seen and or used in some way. Many of the people who think this type of advertising is ethical actually understands this. Similarly, people like the convenience and personalization. Given that many people spend large amounts of time online, who wouldn't want their experience more personalized and crafted for their specific interests? For example, take a 16-year-old girl shopping online. When she first logs on, would she want to be presented with an ad of menswear, such as the one shown below? Obviously not. If a person logs on and automatically sees things that she would like to buy, then she feels that the website actually personalized the experience for her. Next is the other side. This is the unethical viewpoint. So on this side, most concerns are with privacy rights. Even if a user understands that there's a huge amount of data floating around on the web, that doesn't really mean that they want for it to be accessed and used. Similarly, the data available can truly piece together incredible amounts of personal information. Using names, ages, incomes, hobbies, and even medical and health problems, you can actually identify who a person is. Lastly, people are very concerned about manipulative advertising. Because so much personal information can be collected, companies can make decisions as extreme as what credit card offers to send to people, what prices to list, and they do this based on, say, given income or their personal background. For example, if someone has a very low income, they will judge the prices to list and maybe push them lower so that the people are more likely to buy from their website. Next, moving on to information security and awareness. When users get on the web, they do their usual day-to-day actions and log off. Just from these simple actions, tons of information is already put onto the web. EPIC, which is the Electronic Privacy Information Center, noted that cookie data can essentially follow users around the web just based on cookie tracking. By collecting this simple cookie data, they can see what websites people went to and where they clicked on. While companies and websites can collect and use people's data, on the other side, the users actually have no way of finding out what specific data was taken from them. In today's world, tons of large companies are putting to use this type of advertising. Tracking a user's behavior and using the obtained data in advertising actually results in about a 50% higher efficiency in sale generation. Obviously, this type of advertising results in large profits, as can be shown from this chart below. Since privacy concerns have been increased and it has been addressed by many more acts and laws in today's world, companies have actually reduced their data collection by 75%, showing how much that they actually worry about taking care of stealing people's data.
So when we're looking at categories of advertising, we're really looking at a couple different parts. The first, and the one that a lot of people are familiar with, is the content advertising. This is the use of content to draw attention from visitors, so things like sponsored articles, blog posts, press releases, and forums. Link advertising are the point-per-click ads, banners, email signatures, or enticements to get a user to their website. So things like the click here to begin your free trial pop-ups that you'll get. Viral advertising is designed to be word of mouth. So these are posted or shared through social media. Incentivized advertising is when companies are rewarded by the generation of certain types of traffic onto another site. So anything that can provide some kind of financial incentive to that company for posting on their site. And the other part, the one that carries the highest ethical concern, is the obtrusive advertising. This is when a user is forced to click things like pop-ups to navigate through different sections of a page. The real concern isn't really what type of advertising is used, but what happens with the data after it's gathered. So this is where we talk about data mining. One of the biggest companies using data mining right now is Yahoo. What they do is called a third-party method. This is when a user visits a site for the very first time and a cookie is installed without them realizing it. From then on, every time that user visits a Yahoo-affiliated site, Yahoo builds a table of that user's activities. On the other end, the third-party brokers are companies like Blue Kai. What Blue Kai does is it's a Seattle-based tech startup that makes money by selling user data that's mined in real time from sites like eBay and Expedia. In this case, what Blue Kai does is completely legitimate because they say that they anonymize and scrub their data before it's disseminated, but they've got a lot of power and they could quickly go unethical. So it's no surprise that social media is one of the biggest carriers of advertisements. But with the increasing popularity of social media, people's tendencies to overshare are even more pronounced. So one example that we have is a failed social media program from Facebook called social ads. What happens is user likes a certain product, company, or whatever. So as a result, the user is then promoted through their pages and news feeds of all of their friends. So they'll pop up on feeds and say, you know, so-and-so liked this product. What was happening is their face is associated with a company or a service. And so naturally what happened is people caught wind of this and started suing Facebook for it, for privacy violations. There are also concerns with minors who, through the state of California, where Facebook is based, didn't have parental consent to be displayed in ads. The real issue here, though, is there was never an opt-in feature. It was just implied. Google is another big violator of this. A lot of high press, high visibility privacy breaches. One of the ones that we found was with Google Ads. What they did is they deliberately bypassed privacy measures in the Safari web browser to deliver ads through their double-click ad network. They did this by the use of cookies, so despite the user settings that could be toggled to block them, they did it anyway. In a class action lawsuit, Google ended up having to pay a $17 million settlement because of this. So as we discussed, many large companies are finding ways to get data from users and pushing specific content to them. So this is when Federal Trade Commission introduced the Do Not Track framework. So this was designed to be similar to the Do Not Call framework introduced for telemarketers. What it does is it prevents the installation of cookies and other tracking mechanisms on a browser on a browser-by-browser basis. A user needs to be proactive in setting this up because you're not automatically opted in for it. And unfortunately, this doesn't truly enforce online privacy, and there are still many ways for companies to work around this. So to try to address issues with Do Not Track, a new preposition on the Federal Trade Commission floor right now is the Cannot Track protocol. So this is supposed to improve on modifications from Do Not Track, but unfortunately this is not likely to ever gain traction because many of the industry giants won't support this, as they're the ones who stand to lose the most amount of money by not being able to push their ads out to the consumer. Additionally, with emerging technologies, it's easy to believe that new methods will be developed quickly that would be able to address the Cannot Track protocol. So one of the things we've talked about a couple of times on here is the use of cookies. And what a cookie is it's a small piece of code that identifies each unique user that visits the site. Another way you can be tracked is through your IP address. Every resource on the internet has an IP address, which is stored on sites to track the frequency of your visits and can also ascertain geographical information. So these affect things like local store ads, restaurant specials, or even weather. Beacons or web bugs are used mostly by developers, but they can track not only when a user visits a site, but what's clicked on, how they navigated it, their mouse movement, and even which keystrokes they used. And finally, browser pages. When you store your history in a browser, servers that access it can see other sites that you visited. This information is aggregated and sold to these third-party mining companies. So really, what we found through this doing this project is that there needs to be a balance between where good customer service ends and the unethical mishandling of personal data begins. Customers should be aware that their online activities are being tracked regardless of what they do to stop it. So they should know how to safeguard against that. And then finally, the way ahead for companies isn't to stop mining data altogether, because that's how they generate so much of their profits. But what companies need to be aware of is that consumers do have the right to request their privacy, and they should honor those rights. So this concludes our presentation. Thank you very much.